So, welcome everyone. I'm Jennifer Henniger, the Director of Financial Wellbeing here at First United Bank at our Durant headquarters. And we are so blessed to have you all here with us today. I'm going to be introducing our special guest today. It is Allie Townsend. Allie is our fraud manager here at First United Bank. She is also a fun friend of mine. We don't like hang out like after work or anything, but we definitely chat it up whenever we see each other. So I want to say that. But Allie, tell us a little bit about you and let them know, something personal about you as well.
Yeah, so as Jennifer said, I'm the fraud manager here at First United. I'm definitely not a public speaker, so bear with me. But I'm a certified fraud examiner and certified financial crimes investigator. I'm married with two children and enjoy the outdoors.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Allie. And we appreciate, like I said, you being here and sharing your knowledge because you have been with First United a very long time and you've been doing this work for a very long time. So it's really nice to, even though you don't feel like you're a public speaker, to get you out of your comfort zone and, just really learn from that knowledge and experience that you bring with you. So here's what we're going to be learning about
Yes.
today, folks. We are going to be talking about guarding our finances and how we're going to be guarding them is against identity theft. We really want to make sure that we're helping you to know, like, what can you do to be proactive against these scammers who's trying to steal our personal information. We also want to understand more about social engineering, what that is, how it works, and how the fraudsters are using that. And here's another thing that we're really going to dive in today is the emotional impact that scams can have. We're going to be sharing some videos with you. They're pretty they're definitely emotional, I would say. Like it's very impactful. I even went home and I was telling my husband, and I know Christina, when she first sent it, she was telling her husband about it. So the information you're going to be hearing about today is definitely emotional. It is going to be something that it'll probably pull at some strings. It definitely pulled at mine. But know that we really want to touch on that because that is a huge part of what people experience when they are scammed. So, Allie, friend, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can just start telling us about, what's happening, the state of
All
identity
right.
theft.
Well, we will start with the state of identity theft. And as you all have probably heard in the news, data breaches are a big thing. They happen daily. I really just wanted to point out that the Identity Theft Resource Center, they track data breaches that are reported. That's just what is reported. And anyways, and in the first half of 2025, we are already at 55% of the whole year of 2024 in data breaches. Um, and those include, if you look at this image, I mean, millions and billions of people are impacted by these. And while you may not be in one of the top five, there are, you know, 1,732 compromises that you could be in. So I really just wanted to call out just, the amount of people who are impacted by these, and also just talk about like Power School, what that is, how that information was compromised within that can impact how the victim or how the fraudsters target their scams on you. So Power School, for those of you that don't know, is a system or a student information system is used by schools across the U.S. I don't believe Texas and Oklahoma are included in that, but that's just based on a Google search. So the student information system contains information from EIPs, disciplinary actions, absence, includes personal information about students. It includes um, teacher information. And then AT&T, this was a data breach from 2021 that has actually resurfaced. So it impacted nearly 44 million people. Those are unique. So 44 million unique individuals. Um, and that compromise had your full profile. So full name, date of birth, social security number, address, AT&T account number, and I believe a PIN maybe. So just the amount of information that is out there, I mean, nearly every adult is already exposed. So I want to go back to Power School and how the information within that can be targeted. And sometimes this information can be used as like blackmail. So for example, the um, disciplinary actions or the EIPs, they can use that information that they already know to gain your trust and make you think that they are somebody that they know that you know because nobody else would know this information. So they can pose as somebody um, that you know and trust. Or they can use it to blackmail you. Like I said, they can say, hey, I have this information about you or your child. And if you don't send me money, um, then I will expose this data to all of your friends. So that's one way that they can use it. And then with AT&T, all of your personal information. I mean, if someone calls you and says, hey, I have or I want to verify some information on your account or your debit card, can you confirm the last four of your social security number is 1234? And well, it is yours. So it just helps them make it more believable when they are targeting individuals.
Yeah, and so Allie, I know that I've received a letter in the past from AT&T letting me know that I had some of my information that had been compromised, and they offered me like a 1 year for free or I could have my stuff monitored. And so I know that I was a part of that because I had AT&T phone service. And so my information is definitely out there. But just wanted to ask out of curiosity, if you all can raise your hand, you can just use like the emotion icon. How many of you have ever received the letter from a company saying that, hey, your information was breached? Somebody got into our record. And I know like I'm seeing quite a few hands raise up right now. I know like Christina, Allie, we all three of us,
Yeah,
we
I was
know.
I was curious how many times I can raise my hand. I can't count on the amount of notifications that I've received.
Wow. I know I've got one from a medical company too that had been, the information had been breached as well. So these are the types of things that definitely says your information is out there. Now, what we're going to do now, Allie, is tell us what we can do to make sure that we're, while it's out there, what can we do to make sure it's not being used against us?
Yeah, so previously, everybody always coached on keeping your information safe, shredding documents that have confidential information, keeping things locked up, not giving out your information. Well, while that is still important, we do um, recommend that you take additional steps in monitoring your credit. Typically, this is offered by any bank or credit card company that you use. I know we have it as part of our checking accounts. Capital One has it as part of theirs. Discover. There's just anywhere that you have an account typically is going to offer some type of monitoring, credit monitoring, and I
Mhm.
would recommend highly utilizing those free resources. Another resource is annualcreditreport.com, where you can request a copy of your report from all three of the credit bureaus. And then also for active duty service members, they receive free monitoring from all three credit bureaus. You just have to reach out to them, let them know you are active duty, and sign up for those services. And then for check systems is a little different. It's not necessarily your credit profile that you're monitoring. Check systems is something that banks and financial institutions use to, it's kind of like a credit report for checking and savings accounts. So not like a line of credit, but you can go to their website and actually sign up to monitor your profile to make sure that nobody's opening up checking accounts in your name. And just like with your credit report, make sure your information is accurate. Um, and then the next thing I wanted to talk about was freezes and alerts. So you can place for free um, on on these on your credit profile and your check systems. You can place freezes and fraud alerts. Freezes typically will stop an institution from advancing with a loan or a line of credit if they see that you have a credit freeze. Um, and a fraud alert, what that's going to do is just require them to take additional steps to identify whoever is submitting the application. So they're a little different. If you don't plan on, utilizing your credit, there's no reason why you wouldn't put a freeze on it. Although it is free to place and remove a freeze at any time. And then fraud alerts as well, you can place and remove those. There's 3 different types of alerts: initial, extended, and active duty. Some of those, I believe the extended and active duty actually remove you from credit card and insurance solicitation. So that's a pretty big plus if you are tired of receiving offers in the mail.
Mm-hmm. For real.
And then some additional safeguards, we can set up security alerts. So for example, with my First United account, I can set up an alert to tell me if I have a transaction over a certain dollar amount, or if my balance goes below a certain dollar amount. Different types of alerts. With social media, you can set up alerts that alert you if there's a login on another device. I believe there's maybe a location if it's outside of like your footprint. Um, there's different alerts, but definitely go to your settings and check out the options that there are for security alerts. And then secure network practices. So just making sure that when we are using Wi-Fi, that we are using secure Wi-Fi networks. Don't really recommend using public Wi-Fi, such as McDonald's, Starbucks, the airport. Um, those really aren't that secure. So unless you have a VPN established on the device that you're using to add that additional layer of security, I wouldn't recommend using them. Using
Yeah.
strong authentication. Oh, sorry, Jennifer, were you going to say something?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I,
Strong
I'm with you.
strong authentication, so making sure that we don't use the same password across all of our different accounts. Setting up multi-factor authentication, using biometrics where available. So you can use your thumbprint, you can use your face scan on your phone. Enabling those things. Limiting access to your social media profiles. So as we already talked about with the data breaches, they can use personal information against you to get their scheme to sound more believable. So we want to limit who we allow to have access to our social media. So keeping that between friends and family is always recommended, but also limiting the information that you post on social media. I think Christina and I were discussing the other day, like some of the questionnaires that come across social media where it's what street did you grow up on? What's your favorite color? What high school did you go to? What was your mascot? And I could see it in her face. It just clicked. Those are security questions. So
I do. Until you mentioned it, Allie, I had no idea. I was like, oh, this is so fun. And I'm
yeah,
like, wait, they were literally asking all these security questions that you normally have to set up when you're creating some type of security feature.
yes.
So, anyways, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
We'll
no,
never do that again.
it just doesn't click because they're just fun and you're just not paying attention or just don't think about it. And some of those are actual phishing campaigns. So they are actually fishing for information.
So I was just going to mention on that slide before you move forward, Christina, that I know like at First United, I have the secure checking with the ID Protect. So like once a quarter, I get an email notifying me if I've had anyone like access my credit. So I do the credit monitoring. I know with my credit card, if I have these alerts set up and I want people to know because you definitely want to activate these things because this is how you safeguard your information right here. This is the meat of what we're really wanting to make sure you get is
Yeah,
so like go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so although they are offered, you have to be sure to enroll and give them authority to actually monitor your credit.
Absolutely. You have to go and freeze it, or you have to set up the alerts. And I know mine, like with credit card, I can tell about a success I had stopping something, which was I have a credit card, and anytime my card's used and the card's not present, so like it's made through the internet, I immediately get a text to my phone, and it was saying that I was in Florida and I was trying to get a rental car and I wasn't. And so immediately I contacted the credit card company, and it was in the pending process. So they were able to stop that from happening simply because I had set that security alert up, and it did help me. And it even saved the credit card company money because they hadn't paid it yet. So they were grateful. I was grateful. And the person, they didn't get my information. Like it wasn't going on my card. So anything we can do to protect ourselves is very good. So thank you.
Yes, definitely. Those alerts are good to have in place. Um,
So
Next, I wanted to talk about social engineering, and I know that Jennifer and Christina touched on this in the first part, kind of as it relates to some scams, but I kind of wanted to show some examples of how these can be used in combination. So we have urgency, authority, sympathy, curiosity, and these goes across all channels: emails, calls, text, social media. Um, and one thing, I think we're all aware that it's, typically something urgent. Urgent, it just makes you bypass all your rational thought. Um, it You just lose all sense of of any thought. And then authority, when I say authority, I don't mean, that they're like at a higher level or, anything like that. It's just someone in a position of trust, I guess I should say. So power or trust. If they gain your trust, they have power over you, kind of. So um, it just there's different ways that could fit in other than just, oh, they're the FBI or something. So um, sympathy plays on emotions like compassion or guilt, and curiosity sparks interest to persuade clicking or responding. And I think Jennifer and I discussed, the curiosity, kills the cat. We are very curious and nosy people, so um, it is very tempting. But I just the images on the right, so where it says like, "Is it you in this video?" and it has a link. Um, it's kind of like, oh, is that me? Who posted something of me? Who has something of me? And I've actually gotten those from a very close friend that I did have um, an ongoing chat with on Facebook Messenger. And I ended up messaging her through text and was like, hey, did you send this? And she's like, no, my Facebook was hacked. So although it may come from someone who is trusted, it could be that they have been compromised. So um, just, think before you click, uh, is what I got to say there.
yes, I was telling her that sympathy almost got me, and I'm not usually a very sympathetic person, but I'm an animal lover. So I'm joke when I say that, but I got this text, and it was a person who they didn't know me. They were trying to get information from me, I think, but they were texting and they said something about they had an animal and that they needed the vet's number, and they said the wrong name, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you've got the wrong number. And then they just kept on casually talking with me, but what got me was the animal. Like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so sorry. I hope your dog's okay. So that was where I was like, okay, I didn't fall for it anymore, because then it got really weird quickly, and my intuition said something's not right here, and then I
Yeah.
just blocked them. So
Yeah. We'll talk about that we'll expand on that, Jennifer, in just a minute on how those play out. But I wanted to just kind of show an example of how all of these kind of come together in one scam. So an imposter scam is a good example of that. How they create urgency. Your account's locked. You need to use your card, so that's urgent. Um, authority appears to be from someone you trust, and in this example, we're going to say we have a federal credit union, because they can make those targeted. And then curiosity, this message here on the right leaves you thinking, okay, what transaction, like what suspicious activity? I need to find out more. So it leaves you with questions. And then once you, or a lot of people will call the number listed in the message rather than the number on the back of their card, which then leads to, this is where the sympathy comes in, where the fraudster is trying to, say, hey, we understand this is very stressful. Let us help you secure your account. Can you give us the security code that was sent to you? Or they gather additional personal information that they're using to access your account on the backside. So they act very helpful in order to gain that trust and get that additional information from you. And then next we have pig butchering scams. And pig butchering scams, the name comes from they fatten the pig because it's made up of like investment and romance scams. So they fatten the pig and then they leave you high and dry with no money left. So they slaughter the pig. But sometimes these can start from situations like Jennifer was talking about, was just a friendly outreach or an unknown number, just someone pretending to be a mistaken contact, and they continue with that conversation. They build that relationship, and then they later, claim to have information about this great investment opportunity. And then, it's urgent because you don't want to miss out. You only have a certain time frame to sign up for this. They promise high returns and too good to be true success stories. So just interesting that it starts out with a random message or a wrong number. It's just strange to me. I guess because I don't respond to I've never really responded and said, hey, wrong number. Maybe I'm just not a helpful person. I don't know. But it would be very odd to me if somebody just wanted to have a conversation after it was a wrong number. So I believe we will play a video next, which is this guy is an ex-romance scammer, and he kind of explains how he carried out his schemes. It's eye-opening.
If I can get it to play, give me just a second.
Yeah.
Did y'all have an audio issue as well?
She can't get the video to play.
Do you want me to try, Christina? Okay. You're also muted, I think.
Tomorrow is Valentine's Day and love is in the air.
But this is prime time for romance scams.
Yeah, WRTV Investigates Kara Kenny spoke with a reformed con artist about how he scammed women.
To make them fall in love with me is just kind of simple.
Chris Maxwell is a former romance scammer who spoke with us from his home in Nigeria. Our connection was not the best, but we got some information you need to hear. First of all, how he met his victims.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. All I need to do is just create a fake profile. I text them, they respond to me.
Maxwell says he talked to American women for hours on the phone.
I take my time to talk to them, and it makes it easy for them to fall in love with me.
He used this Nigerian manual on how to lure women in.
It's a format. It's a step-by-step instruction on how you can start a conversation with someone you're meeting online for the first time.
The manual encourages scammers to go after women over 40. They are working, hence they have the money you need. It also encourages scammers to make the conversation all about her. Con artists are told, research your target, including hobbies and pets. The manual also includes this list of 60 compliments you can use, like, you light up my life like nobody else, and you look beautiful even when you don't try. And the guide says don't ask for money outright. Instead, it gives you examples of sob stories you can tell to get that cash.
How much money did you make scamming people?
About 30,000. I need to survive, I was fighting for my life.
Did you ever feel bad?
Yeah.
Chris felt bad enough he quit scamming and now works for Social Catfish, a company dedicated to preventing online scams through reverse search technology.
Our plan was to get married.
Pat Brycruz of Westfield wasn't scammed by Chris Maxwell, but lost nearly $100,000 in a romance scam.
We started talking as friends. How are you? What are you doing? What'd you do today? Just conversation, okay? And then it grew. He says, I really care about you. And then that grew into love.
Romance scams are big business for criminals. Nationwide, they cost Americans nearly $1 billion in 2021.
Because it is very common nowadays, people meet each other online, but the difference is they actually meet in person or talk to you face-to-face virtually. So if you get a situation where the person doesn't even want to get on the phone with you, or they come up with an excuse left and right, or they can't video chat with you, that's going to be a huge red flag.
We shared the Nigerian manual with Jennifer Adamani at the Better Business Bureau.
What does that say to you?
So we're people, and in human nature, you want acceptance and you want love.
If your match asks you for money, that's also a red flag.
They build you up, make you feel loved and wonderful, and then they say, woe is me, can you help me out with some money? And it's by the book, apparently, and there's a manual for that.
If you're meeting someone for the first time online, you have to take some precautions, so you won't be scammed.
Chris Maxwell came clean with one of his victims and is now sharing tactics to help others avoid getting duped. Just remember, anyone can create a fake profile on social media to make you fall in love. Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
And I do just want to add on to what she was saying about, if they always come up with an excuse to not video chat or to not be able to visit you. While those are some red flags and some still can't do that, there are other stories where they have moved from Nigeria to Oklahoma and lived with their victim, staying in separate rooms, all while being married in another country. There are also, there's AI where they can do the video calls now. So just still proceed with caution and just don't send anybody money that you meet online. And then also that book or manual that they were talking about is available on Amazon. It's published by, or not technically published, but it was provided by the Yahoo Boys. If you're not familiar with the Yahoo Boys, they're actually in August or September of last year, were in the process of being charged with sextortion against minor individuals who have committed suicide due to the scams that they've perpetrated. So research the Yahoo Boys. It's pretty interesting. Please don't buy their book.
Please don't.
I don't want to fund them. And then also in 2024, the FBI started a campaign, an awareness campaign that urges the public to take a beat. So resist pressure to act quickly, pause for a moment and assess the situation is, what they're saying. So stop, think, and verify. Like we talked about, the urgency, it just kind of bypasses all rationale, and we really need to be paying attention to what we're doing. And so the emotional impacts of scams, I know I talked about the Yahoo Boys and the impact they had on those teenagers, but just overall, identity theft resource center victims versus general consumers, they just generally have more worry, more anger, depression, all of that. All of the numbers on the left side of this table are nearly doubled of what a general consumer reports on feeling worried and anxious and all of these different emotions. And one of the statistics that they've had since 2003 are victims who have contemplated suicide. And that rate has steadily increased over the past 4 years to 16%. So they are just very, very impactful, not only financially, but also emotionally. In this next video, it is a little longer, but bear with us. It's a good example of a real victim of the emotional impacts that it had.
My goals were to retire and see the world, and I couldn't wait to get retired. I had met my financial objectives. I was looking so forward. I was on top of the world. I have never married, and I thought, you know what, if I want to get married, now's the time to do it. So I thought, I'll try a dating site. I did Match.com. And 2 weeks passed, and that's when we started talking together. We were going to see each other, meet each other in person within the week. Then he traveled with his business, and so he had to leave and go to California and do business meetings. And I was very flexible with that because I'd worked all my life. I know what it's like of putting work first. Every morning, I would get an email of a poem that he wrote for me. Every morning, I would also get just, hi, honey, how are you doing? How was your night? When I get to the States, I can't wait to be with you. Within a month, he was just very, very heavy in terms of the dating relationship. And this is a mistake. If I made a mistake, it was that I didn't cut it off then. $150,000, $250,000, $75,000, make a check for $250,000, and then make another $50,000 check. I sent money to China and Hong Kong at the end, and people say, how can you give money to a stranger? He wasn't a stranger at that point. I mean, the way they know how to hook you and psychological manipulation. You know, they know how to do what they do. They have a script. They have a book that tells them everything of what to do. I knew in August 2019 that I would probably end up being poor with him. And I just thought, okay, I can live with him and be poor. That's okay, as long as we're together. I sold my home in May. The reason being is that I had no more money. When the Secret Service called me and he said, you know, you have been a victim of a romance scam, and when he said there wasn't even a Santos around, that was hard to get my brain wrapped around. I'd never been around people of that character. Living with it now is the hardest of hard. I can't go to the future.
What do you worry about the future?
Me not being out on the streets because I don't have any money. And at the very beginning, I mean, I had no money. My house was sold. I had no place to stay except for my car. And I had some very good, solid girlfriends, and they took me in for the first 8 months, which was really good because I think I would have probably committed suicide. You don't know how they mess with your brain. They manipulate, they punish you. Oh, it's dramatically changed me. Yes. You know, it's not the material items that make a difference for me. It's the fact that I don't have any freedom. I don't have freedom anymore to go out with my girlfriends, have dinner. I don't have freedom to go do this or this experience. It's not that I don't have, you know, money or drive a new car or blah, blah, blah. It's the fact that I have no freedom. I'm very limited because of this scam.
So that I wanted to play that video, even though it is longer, just because it just shows the real journey that these victims go on. And she talked about, you know, had she not had somebody to stand by her, that she likely would have committed suicide. So this is part a part that people don't typically talk about. Typically, it's like, you know, how do we avoid becoming victims of these scams, which is very important, but there's rarely any conversations about what do you do after you've lost your entire life savings. I mean, Sue, she was a retired executive healthcare individual who lost $2.5 million and her home. So this is just a roadmap that kind of goes over what it's like for these victims from 0 to 12 months essentially are almost the exact same. Some of the words are just a little bigger. So, but anxiety is in every box. Fear is in every box. Depression. It's just and loneliness, isolation. Typically, a victim of these scams, they were lonely to begin with. They were seeking a partnership or a relationship. So being a victim just amplifies all of these emotions, and it's just very heartbreaking.
Indeed.
So while it is heartbreaking and troublesome to work through, you know, there are support groups for this, or resources, I should say. AARP offers scam alerts, recovery tips, a free hotline that's staffed by trained fraud specialists. Their fraud specialists will spend hours on the phone with individuals who you know, may just be lonely or may have already been a victim of a scam. They do spend a lot of time there. They are trained to have those conversations. And I think that helpline is important because, you know, if your mother is having trouble with her finances, or she, you know, may not want to discuss her relationship with another individual that she's sending money, if she's not comfortable having that conversation with someone she knows, she may be comfortable having that conversation with, you know, a trained specialist that doesn't know her personally. The FINRA Foundation, they actually offer emotional recovery guidance, peer support, and referrals to mental health services. They have some really good resources out there, and not only for victims, but for just anybody who wants to have awareness around how to navigate these situations. If you're just, you know, helping someone at your church or just helping a friend or a family member. They offer guidance on that. And then SCARS, which is againstscams.org, they actually offer trauma-informed recovery, grief support, and scam survivor coaching. So just some really great resources out there. Also, our doors are always open, customer or not, if you need guidance or if you just need someone to talk to, or you know, whatever the case may be, our doors are open to have those conversations, and we encourage you to bring your challenges to us.
Yes, we do. Tell us some key takeaways, Allie, some things that we need to make sure that we are doing so we can try to guard ourselves against these things or help others if they are in these situations.
Yeah, so protecting our personal information like it's cash. I know that's kind of hard to do with all of the data breaches, but it's still worth it to at least attempt. Monitoring your accounts and your credit profiles, placing freezes, fraud alerts. Keep in mind, scammers exploit trust, urgency, and fear to manipulate. Always verify before you click, share, or send money. So stop, think, verify. And victims often feel shame, anger, grief, isolation. Emotional recovery is just as important as financial recovery. I know that that may sound crazy considering some of the dollar amounts that are lost in these scams, but it has a very big impact. And support is available. Don't suffer in silence. Don't let someone you know suffer in silence. And empower others to spend life wisely and share the information that you learned today with your friends, family, and coworkers, because awareness is our first line of defense. So even if it's, you know, just awareness around how impactful these scams can be, because I know we always talk about, you know, how we can prevent these scams, but we never talk about after. So even just sharing that so people understand the importance of what we're saying all the time can really help. And I hope those videos really grabbed your attention today and just shed some light on how big this truly is. And that's just a small portion of it. Like I said, go search the Yahoo Boys. I'll just warn you, it's emotional. And how to report scams. This is the same thing. If you joined us in part 1, this is the same slide. We just want to be sure that we provide you with the resources on where to report scams, but always keep in mind, always contact your banks, your creditors, and let them know as well. Although it may not be related to your account, if you gave out any personal information, it can impact all of your accounts. So be sure that you're reporting, taking those steps to report to all of your lenders or bankers.
Awesome. Well, we now want to see what questions do you have about any of the information that we may have covered today. You can type your question into the chat box and we'll do our best to answer your question. So hopefully I've dropped some things in the chat box, so it should kind of initiate the chat box for you today. I hadn't planned on earlier sharing those, but I thought people may need these because I know that if somebody I knew that I loved very much had became a victim, I may be embarrassed or I may not want people to know, but I really feel like helping them to have some support is so key, and just providing these resources is super important. So that's why I made the decision just now to like just drop these in there so you had them. And I haven't seen any questions come up yet, but again, feel free. So Robert says, great stuff, Allie. Yes, it was great stuff. Are the slides available to view? Yes, we can definitely send the slides out with an email. So we'll definitely make sure we do that as well so that you have these.
And I think Lacey asked a question around combating coaching. I think she's talking about fraudsters coaching individuals who come into the bank. So they will coach their victims on what to tell the bank to specific questions. And I believe, Lacey, we have some resources in the works for that. They're not available right now, but we do have some things coming.
So that bankers are, I know that people may be wondering, like, well, what exactly are they talking about? Lacey, she works in the retail environment, and there could be a customer coming in, and we want to be able to know, like, here's questions we can ask, because we don't ever want to offend people. We really want to do it because we don't want them to be a victim, because once we like wire money or do something, like, we can't get that back. So we try to be proactive on the front line and do the things that we can to keep our customers from having minimal loss.
Yeah, and where you can find the videos, these were, you just Google romance scams or Yahoo Boys. I believe Sue is on, I think she might be on the FBI's website. The FBI has some videos on there that also includes victims, but it just a quick Google search. And I think rather than just having these specific videos, there are way more out there that I just couldn't play because they were 10, 15 minutes long. But there were some that were way worse. So just give it a search. Become an advocate in your community.
So we got one that says all 3 credit bureaus have mobile apps that make it very easy to freeze and unfreeze your credit as you need and set notifications. That's wonderful to know. So there's mobile
Awesome.
apps for Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, so that you can do it through your phone and not have to be thinking it's a huge thing, so that you could unfreeze if something happened and you wasn't planning on getting a car, but maybe you had an accident and you had to get a car, you could still unfreeze and be able to get it. And Claudia says yes, but they don't always tell you that is the loan is for. Like, they'll come and ask for a loan, and sometimes they tell you it's for home improvement, and then they tell the truth after they've been scammed. Yeah, we've definitely
Yeah,
seen
and
that.
that's why it's important that we build those relationships. I know we talk about building relationships all the time, but continuously building those relationships and knowing our customers, so that we know when something is off. And sometimes, pulling them aside and kind of just having a heartfelt conversation can be helpful.
Yeah. I'm also going to drop a resource really quickly in here. It is a First United resource that we have. It says, what do you do if you suspect fraud on your account? So I've dropped the link to that, and hopefully it works so that you can access it. So it's a great article that we have that helps you to know, here's some things you can do if you think that you could become a suspect of fraud. And somebody says Credit Karma lets you freeze and file disputes for the credit bureaus as well. Yes, and I know
Yes.
that when you go to the other, actually, all 3 of the credit bureaus will let you do it as well, because I've had to help people to do things of that nature when they were trying to
Yeah.
some things on their credit. So absolutely things that you can do. All right, so if y'all have any other questions, feel free to type them in. But in the meantime, we are going to invite you to next month's webinar. This is a 3-part series. So our final series will be September the 23rd, same time, 3 to 4. I dropped the link, so if you would like to join, we're going to be having a special guest speaker. Her name is Sharon Lewis. She is with the Oklahoma Bankers Association, and she is vice president of the fraud division. And Allie was telling me she has many, many years of doing this, and she speaks to a lot of like the different financial institutions and really helps them to know, here's what's happening in the fraud world. So we're excited and honored to be able to have Sharon as our final speaker for this 3-part series. So please do register for that. And then